Hey everyone, welcome back to College Disc Golf News with me, your host, Nickens, bringing you kind of something different, kind of an idea video today. I'm very passionate about college disc golf and trying to make it the best it can be, but also trying to really recognize the community, all the teams that are around disc golf, all the individuals that may be on their way to play MPO in the future, and trying to recognize those guys and those teams as they're going off to their next phase of life. And so the reason I'm making this video for this new event idea, it comes from two reasons. It comes from the fact that when it comes down to All-Americans in both D1, D2, D3 women's, it is decided at nationals. Now, there's no reason not to recognize all-Americans, especially for their achievement at nationals. It is such an accomplishment to be there and to place within the top 20, top 10, or even top 3, depending on what division and what you're playing in. There's no reason not to recognize them then and there. The problem with that is that everything rides on that moment. Everything rides on nationals. And when you look to how all Americans work in every other sport besides disc golf, they work on a regular season basis, not what nationals is, a postseason basis, right? When you look to football, you look to basketball, all Americans are done during the season based off results, how you're playing during the season, your points per average. And, that doesn't necessarily happen in college disc golf at the moment. It currently just resides during nationals, during singles. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. In fact, the reason probably that is because this is the only time that everybody is all together, right? And so these top players are going to be there and going to come anyway. However, it kind of de-emphasizes the conference events and conference results. And, maybe that can be a conference per conference thing. Maybe you could have conference All-Americans, but not every single conference, not every single team is going to have the budget to be able to give away trophies in that way. And so, I'm not saying it's just on college disc golf to recognize those people, but what I am saying is that maybe there should be more of an emphasis, and maybe there is a way that together we can emphasize the need for the regular season to recognize those achievements within the regular season without having to do it all at the end. And so those who may have had a really amazing, regular season, they finished 5 down or 3 down instead of 5 down, and now they don't get recognized for that. Let me give you an example. So this past year, if we look at the men's top 20 heading into nationals, right? You had Anthony Anselmo, Jaden Rye, Bradley Caldwell, Colton Webb, Benjamin Wagner, and Atticus Abram, Owen Rice, Jesse Longnecker, Zach Trotto, and Danny Beck. Those were the top 10 guys. And out of those top 10 guys, only 7 of them made the top 20 at nationals, right? So 3 of those guys that were nationally ranked within the top 10 did not receive All-American first team honors, even though they had been recognized by College Disc Golf for that achievement already during the season. If you look to the back end of the top 20, there were only 2 or 3 other guys that were able to make it into the top 20 at nationals. So that means really 8 out of the 20 people that were recognized by College Disc Golf who were seen to be, hey, these are the top players in our sport. Only 20 of them were, or only 8 out of those 20 were recognized for that achievement at nationals. And while, yes, that's still a good achievement, and you could say, hey, those other, 20 guys deserve recognition. I'm not saying that. I think all of those guys, if you placed at nationals in the top 20, I think you should be recognized for that. However, the question is that what All-American status is supposed to be in college disc golf, right? Should it be something separate? And I think that's the question, because I don't think it's the question of, well, college disc golf's doing a bad job of recognizing players. That's not what I'm saying. I'm more saying, are we doing enough to recognize those who are placing well and those who are playing well during the season. For instance, the number one player in the country, Anthony Anselmo at UNC, did not place within the top 20, did not receive first team All American honors. That is kind of a sad state. Like, imagine if the number one player last year, we'll say Cooper Flagg in basketball, imagine if Cooper Flagg did not receive All American honors because he did not place into the top 8 at the NCAA tournament, right? I think there would be a lot of outrage from that from the basketball community. Or imagine Jaden Daniels, right? Jaden Daniels, Heisman candidate from LSU. Imagine he didn't get recognized because they did not place in the top 25 of college football at the end of the season. I mean, that would be kind of a sad state for awards and being an All-American. And, those are different examples and they're completely different sports. And I recognize that. But it's important to talk about because how are we as college disc golf really recognizing and looking at our season as a whole and trying to improve it, trying to make it into a better product, trying to make it into where, these guys who, spend out, money traveling, going to different places, doing everything they can to get to nationals, get sponsorships. How are we, able to recognize them if all it comes down to is one event at the end of the year? And that's a lot of pressure to put on somebody and not receive any recognition for what they're doing. And so this is not an attack on college disc golf or the people running it at all. I think they do such an amazing job, and we literally could not do this sport without college disc golf at the helm of it. What I am saying, though, is that I think we might need to look at this specific thing and see what can we do to really benefit the players and benefit those guys who are doing so well throughout the season, playing, being on the grind, and hopefully we can do something to better show those guys that they've been doing a good job. And so my solution is a little different. Something that a lot of people have heard about is the Dean's Cup, and this maybe is not a replacement for the Dean's Cup, but I really love the idea of the Dean's Cup. You have kind of these teams coming in and playing for the tournament, and at USDGC. And so at the end of it, the team who scores the best, both versus men's and women's, they win, and they win this Dean's Cup. And so my idea is that instead of doing that, or maybe doing something after the season with this, we have a college disc golf All-Stars event. How does this college disc golf All-Stars event? Well, you could do it in a couple ways. My idea is that you should take the conferences that are already built into college disc golf, and you should take players from D1, D2, D3, and women's, and you make a team, each person from maybe a different team or those who should be recognized for their work. You could make maybe 2 teams from each conference, and those are the All-Americans for D1, D2, D3. You could just do D1, you could just do D2, or just do D1 and D2 in women's. But you do this, and then you host a college disc golf all-star event. So you make these teams from these conferences, and then you have an event. Either you could do it maybe even at you could do match play at nationals on the Tuesday before singles. You could do afterwards and maybe make it kind of a destination event where people come to it. You could also do it like a Dean's Cup situation. But I think the best probably out of those options is probably to do it the Tuesday or Monday before. There'll be a lot of people there, let a lot of people, conferences and people come down for that. So I would say, okay, hey, let's do it that Tuesday during nationals, and you have either match play or combined stroke play between the conferences, right? And so you could, one, crown an overall conference as the winner based on their, the strokes they have from 1 or 2 rounds of the event, or you could have alongside of that, the team that wins for their division, they are crowned like D1 All-American status for the top 20, or everybody from those conferences all get recognized as an All-American from their conference. But again, I think this does two things. I think it one recognizes, the conference events during the year, and a lot of the conference leadership who are there, who are able to see, can help college disc golf kind of decide these all stars. You could take results and events, and kind of put them together, and so that way, when they come for nationals or they come to this college disc golf all star events, those who have been playing well during the regular season get recognized for that, and then they get to have a super fun opportunity, which is that they get to play with people that aren't their teammates for the first time. I mean, and represent their conference and kind of have this conference camaraderie. You kind of already see that with some conferences, but I think this is something that could definitely grow and really help. All of these different sports make all these different conferences make connections when they're kind of playing at this level and this opportunity together. I think that is a super cool aspect of it. Also, I think you should do 4 team, doubles with the ladies. Like this would be an event where this could be the only time that ladies come together from their conferences and play a 4 team collegiate event. I think because of the lack of the amount of women in our sport, most teams can't field for ladies, and so that is why you see the doubles format for the ladies. But this gives an opportunity for them to do that, and I think they would really thrive in that. I think that would be super fun for them, and a super cool opportunity for them to represent again their conference, play in a way that they haven't got to do it before, and just have some fun. And so yeah, this is kind of my idea in the solution. Of course, this is not something that I'm not a part of college disc golf. I'm just a person playing, and I'd love at the very least, if there was a way to do this between conferences, and maybe college disc golf doesn't have an and in it. We could see an Appalachian conference versus the Great Lakes conference, or we could see a Carolinas conference versus the Southeast conference all-star event, at the end of the season. I think those things would be super cool. And again, you could do this with just D1 if you needed to do only D1, but I think it would be really cool to recognize both D1, D2, D3 women's. That takes a lot of work though, and it takes time, and you're going to have probably the space to do it at. And so there's a lot of things that go into it that obviously, as I am thinking about this, there's details that have to be worked on, but this is just an idea, and hopefully the start of something that in the future, when it comes to college disc golf, we can have more events and be able to better recognize and show all of these guys who work so hard throughout the year to win these events or place at the events, that they are recognized for that. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. What do you think about this idea to potentially do a college disc golf all-star event with conferences, kind of this conference camaraderie event where guys who've never played before play together in a team style event, and the team with the best score at the end, or maybe it's match play, they win. So let me know what you guys think, and if you guys have any ideas maybe to fix kind of this all-star system, let me know in the comments. But I'll talk to you guys later. I'm Nickens. Hope you enjoyed this episode. I'll see you later. Peace.